Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Live. Now, step into Spier Light Art 2024, an exhibition that transforms ordinary landscapes into spectacular artworks through the magical use of light. Lose yourself in a world of color, movement, and imagination as you explore the creative works of top artists from around the world. Now, from the 1st of March to the 1st of April, the exhibition will delight and inspire while bringing people together to celebrate creativity and connection. Now, to tell us more about this, we're joined by the curators of Light Art, Jay Pather and Vaughn Sadie. Vaughn and Jay, a very good morning to you. Warm welcome to Morning Live. Jay, I'm going to start with you. Tell us a little bit more about the idea behind Spier Light Art and how it came about.
Thank you. The idea was to scour the country for artwork or artists that are using light as a medium. And, people often confuse this with a kind of a light show. It is a light show to some extent, but mainly it is about artists who are using light to talk through a variety of different issues. And so you are, when you wander through the farm, you will see up to 20 light art installations, like you would go into a gallery, except this is gloriously outside and you're walking in through the various landscapes of the Spier estate and coming up against a variety of different artworks. Some of the art is talking through the grammar of light art itself. So you're looking at something that speaks to a particular idea about light, and some of them are talking about, like the ones you're showing now, are talking about more environmental issues. So there's a work around mycelium, the growing of mushrooms under our feet. But all of this is through light. So you're experiencing in the darkness, you're experiencing these amazing works that come up as you move around. And a lot of the work are around social issues. So there are works that, because light is a big issue in our country, and there is a work by Tamber Stewart and Pondis James around the different kinds of light quality through our different areas, our different homes. So it's a wide range of issues, and you really get a sense of all of this through the spectacular use of light.
Let's bring Vaughn into this conversation. Vaughn, speak to us about your role as a curator and what that curatorial process involved.
So I think Jay and I work really closely together on this process. We have a curatorial committee that help us with the provisional selection and shortlisting of work. And then once we get to that stage, Jay and I really spend a lot of time trying to work out how, where work is placed on the farm and the kind of dialogues that exist across the different works. So I think that's the key part for me, where I think my real interest in the curatorial process also sits, is understanding how the works in relationship to each other and in relation to where they're placed in the farm start to create really interesting dialogues. And I think that's where, I think for some of the artists as well, that's where the joy of working in such a site-specific way and in a privatized public space, if you want to call it that, becomes a really interesting way for the work to kind of really solidify its conceptual interests or open it up to be a little bit more porous, so that an audience essentially have multiple access points into kind of starting to decipher what that work could mean, or it just gives them a few more keys to be able to really engage more deeply with the work. So a lot of it is really understanding how the work sits in the landscape and kind of understanding how important the placement of the work is in relation to what is around it. So really thinking around how an audience member or a viewer would be able to arrive at a work, what they see in the distance or what is close by, so that they understand that those conceptual relationships aren't often just an intellectual process, but they are also embodied and part of our day-to-day. So really asking the viewer to also use their bodies as they move through the wine farm as a mode of meaning making, as a way of kind of understanding or using that embodied understanding of the world around them to kind of bring that to the work as they walk through the farm as well. So I think for me, the curatorial process is complex and varied, but really exciting. I just want to add in, it also takes walking 22 kilometers a day on the farm when we were installing, just to make sure that it's going well. So it's also being quite hands-on and kind of being in the space with the artists while they work.
And what I'm gathering from this conversation is that location, landscape, and space is a huge part of what you're trying to say with this process. How much did that influence what you were trying to do, and how the person that's going to see this art sees it from a curatorial perspective, and the space and the landscape? What role does that play?
Well, I think at the very outset, the artists are invited onto the farm. So even during the selection process, they have a chance to visit the farm and walk around. You know, our wine farms are not without its own controversies and its own contentions. And I think the Spier wine estate welcomes that. They welcome that kind of dialogue with what its political, what its social, what its environmental context is. So it's quite important for artists to actually walk through it. So it is about the aesthetics, about the space and about the landscape and about something that is near and far and about embodiment, as Vaughn is talking about, but it's also about the history of the farm itself. So, I think that is a really important part of the process, because then artists even propose, well, I would like to see my work here, because they are already in the conceptualizing and in the making are already placing the work. And what we do, and Vaughn does in particular, is to fine tune that relationship. So when audience come, they really have had quite a few stages of placement and really thinking about the space in all its manifestations, or in as many of its manifestations as we can get it, so that the experience is quite holistic and powerful.
Vaughn, what's been the response from the public, seeing that it's coming to an end on the 1st of April? What have you observed from the 1st of March until now?
I think we've had a really favorable response. I think this year we've also included a kind of guided walking tour with drama students from Stellenbosch University that kind of offer a different experience. So we're hoping that also allows the audiences that feel slightly intimidated by more contemporary work an access point. But I think, last year we had 7,000 people on the farm over the month. This year, I think we're about to increase that number. And I think for us, what's always really important, and in years before, I always sneak onto the farm when the event is running, and I walk behind families and friends who are walking on the farm. And I think those conversations for me are also really interesting. It's the kind of in-between conversations that are really exciting, and how people are making sense of the work. So, I think from our side, I think we have had a really positive response from both the artists and the public that have come through. And I think for us, we're in the 6th year of the event now. And I think we also feel that we're starting to really understand what the parameters and constraints are working there, but also how on the farm, but also what it means to be producing a light art festival in the Western Cape in South Africa at this point, and really finding those conversations that really allow audiences spaces to really connect deeply with themselves and our country. And I think that's really important.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for talking to us. Good luck going forward until the 1st of April. Those were the curators of the Light Art Spier Art Fair, which is Jay Paffer and Vaughn Sadie talking to us about the Spier Light Art, an exhibition that transforms ordinary landscapes into spectacular artworks through the magical use of light.